let's welcome one of our other co-hosts, Mr. Christian Cano.
Woo! Woo-hoo!
Oh,
You're
man.
supposed to be walking ranchero kind.
What planet is blue?
Singing,
What planet
dancing.
is that? Teal?
You're missing your sombrero.
Oh, I got one in the other room. You do know when you lip sync, you're supposed to say bananas and watermelon?
Really? I did not. I learned something new today. Now I
That
know.
is so new to me.
See, this is truly an educational show.
The future is so bright, I gotta wear
Especially now for the
shades.
summer.
Exactly.
This is
This
colored
is really
teal. Is
bright.
it teal?
Teal.
Anyway,
This
that's
is
very nice
teal.
color. Might even, yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to
We
get one
do
of
have a
those.
mixture of colors here today.
Yeah.
We do. Welcome to Coffee and Ponduce, everyone. I'm Christian Cano. We want to welcome you. Today is June the 12th, Wednesday, June the 12th.
Wow.
Father's Day weekend is this weekend. And
Father's
then,
Day, yes.
For those of us who also celebrate, if you do remember, Juneteenth is next weekend, next Wednesday, which is our next show, Juneteenth.
Juneteenth. Yep. Yep.
And we will have a special guest. Maurice Falls is going to be our guest on that day. He's with the NAACP.
Okay, I don't think our audience is listening because the Marach is kind of loud.
Alexa, stop. Down.
Okay.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
So good to have you back.
I'm back.
You were at graduation?
I was at my
It's
son's
just,
graduation last week, a fifth grader, coming out of elementary. So, of course, parents have to be cheering up and saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. He looked at me, he says, Mom, why are you the only one so excited? Of course, in my family, because I'm your mom, I said. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, we missed you, and thank you for
Thank you.
for
I
coming
miss
back.
all of y'all.
So before we start, let's go ahead and salute to coffee. Well, actually, I'm kind of off track today because I haven't hosted in 2
Wearing that
weeks.
blue?
Oh.
Yes, so let's see. It says introduction to Facebook. Thank you everyone who's watching us on Facebook Live and who are going to be watching us later on. I'll fix that. Who are going to be watching us later on YouTube or your favorite social media app. The majority of people who watch us later on in their pleasure. Are those who don't want us to know they're watching. They sneak in and watch us later. But let's go ahead and introduce everyone so I can start, or we can start sharing the show. We'll start from our right because you're always right. And while you're doing that, I will fix the tablet. So.
I'm always right.
What a great
Go ahead.
one.
Oh, you haven't seen my new mug, have you? She's always right.
Oh.
Hello, Ruth Perez here, a community advocate here, and just a co-host and friend of everyone.
There you go.
I'm Christian Cano.
I'm Jeff Scott, man about town, creature of the world.
Oh my God. Wow.
Ooh, what are we? What are we?
And I'm also very happy to be here.
Good morning. I'm Barb Bacon. I live in Raintree and I'm a healthcare advocate, and I'm currently working with people that have organizational disorders.
Thank you, Barbara, for joining us again. And once again, thank everyone for joining us and spending time. We've got a jam-packed show today. We're going to try to squeeze it in our hour. We started a little late, but we do have a tracker now that we keep track of our time, and we also have a bell
Awesome.
that it's supposed to work.
Don't you love modern technology?
So when someone's going over too long, you can grab the
Okay,
bell and
all right.
do it. We started that last week.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk about. Before, let's salute to Coffee and Ponduce. Salute.
Salute, 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 cha-ching.
Mm.
I don't know what
Our
I
Ponduce
did.
today is from Manolo's Bakery once again.
I can tell.
I know.
So
Tara,
tempting.
we miss you. We got a concha for Tara, a little girl, but anyone can have. Please help yourself to some.
I'll wait till the show is over.
Okay, all right.
But-
There's
but-
the pigs, Miss Bacon,
Pigs
in
again,
case.
Those look
pigs.
good.
Yeah,
Those
my
look good.
family was like,
Yeah.
what are you holding?
I have
Your
made a
hand?
commitment, y'all, and y'all better help me. I am on a strict no carb
Oh,
diet.
I wonder
Okay,
if he
we-
has
we'll
anything
help
that's
you.
low carb.
Huh?
Here, the invisible. You can eat the invisible one.
I'm gonna close my eyes
Yes.
and get a Dunkin' Donuts.
For those who've been watching us, I am back wearing glasses because I'm allergic to something, so I had to take my contacts out, or I don't exactly know. So I'm not trying to look
Professional, smarty
I just
cat.
happen to have my glasses.
In solidarity.
Thank
No.
you. Thank you so
I didn't
much.
bring
We forgot ours,
mine.
we
I gotta get
That's right.
mine.
Mine are in
So,
my car so I can drive at night.
We're going to talk about three things real quickly: the Trump's Mexican tariffs, NCO9 election update, very briefly, and then the opioid crisis. We have some
Yes.
updates on the opioid crisis as well. There's a lot of
I
things
forgot
going
to
on.
sneak in. I forgot to mention to y'all. Did you see that new law that now is turned? Oh, actually, it's a new law now. The governor from Texas signed for minors to sell lemonade.
That they can without getting
That they
arrested.
can
now. Yes.
without getting arrested. Cause the little
Yeah.
boy is raising so much money for the wall.
Is that really why?
Sounds,
Oh, you can do that.
sounds good, doesn't
If
it?
you have to say a lot of lemonade.
That's a lot.
Well, he raised
Well,
what?
Texas
Almost
is a big
200,000.
state.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Not too long ago,
Wow.
about 2-3 weeks ago, he raised that little kid raised almost $200,000.
So that'll create a foot.
I don't even think maybe a toe.
No, Ruth, that's funny you say that because we were talking about something at Monday night's Leaders in Action at Action and C about we're raising money to go to the convention in Detroit, and one of the we were talking about selling some things here for the firecracker run that goes through our neighborhood here, and I said there's always kids selling lemonades and whatever, and someone said, do they have to have a permit? I said, not in the white neighborhoods. You don't have to have a permit. Everyone goes, oh, but I guarantee you, if it was a
If
little,
it was a little, different neighborhood,
there would
yes.
be
More mixed
lemonade.
Yeah.
Lemonade Lucy would be calling the
Yeah.
okay. I
Yeah,
regress.
let's go back to our.
So let me
Sticking
just
to our agenda.
let me just say one thing about lemonade today.
Have your bell
Okay.
ready.
One thing about lemonade, you just need to know what kind of sugar they're putting in it, how they're sweetening it, right? Because lemons are sour, and
Yeah.
you need to add a lot of sugar to it.
Yeah.
So you're really drinking a lot of
Sugar.
fruit
Ah.
sugar, and it's either fructose or cane sugar or xylitol or some other form of
Yeah.
sugar substitute, but it's all gonna be difficult for you in the long run. So
Interest-
watch your sugar.
Interesting you
intake.
say that. We're going to have on our show in a couple of weeks. We're waiting to get confirmed. Lily from the Green Party.
Yeah.
And she wants to discuss some great ways that you can actually, I believe it was, it's a healthier, basically it's how to help the environment and eat certain products or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a really good show. She's going to come, we're going to cook some things, and then we're all going to be able to eat.
Ooh, I
She's
like
going to
that.
show us how we can eat and be
Healthy.
conservationists, so to speak.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
I told her anything with food.
And
so.
and I'm fully on board with in this respect the Green Party's approach to healthy food and the cleanliness of our food and the production of our food. The farm to table movement
Yeah.
rather than the sort of farm industrial complex and some of the abuses
Sure.
of that system.
Yes.
So I'm
we
sympathetic
definitely need to
Excellent.
bring that
So
information.
That's
So
right.
she'll be on our show as soon as she can get confirmation on when she can come. We're excited to have her on the show, to be a host
Yeah.
show dedicated directly to that. So just real quickly, because I can tell this is going to be a long
And I got a long
and,
trip.
and I know you got a vacation you're going to be going on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Imaginary button, if you had one.
Guns violence.
Gun
I
violence.
continue to guns violence.
That's right. It was Wear Orange
Yes.
weekend this weekend,
And I
which
wore
have,
it Friday.
which I have something really funny to say later during the NCO9 update. So remind me. I'm going to write that down. Gun
Okay.
violence.
Okay.
Mine is trust women. I continue to as a pro-life person, and I know you.
Yeah.
I can't speak for her, but I think we are on the same page. I'm
We've
pro-life,
talked
but
about
I
it, yeah.
believe that the government and we should not make decisions for what a woman decides to do with her reproductive. What's more important for her reproductively. So you can be pro-life and also be pro-choice, I guess,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you have to say it like that.
Right.
So I wore a button and it says, you can't really see it, but it says RAD, and it's just short for radical. And I was thinking about this the other day, why Alan and I from the Green Party get along. And because we both have very radically different views about what's going on in the world. But one of the things that we do agree on is that we have to be open about our ideas and be able to discuss them and
yes.
defend them. So even though we're maybe even further apart than the other two candidates, we can come together and we can talk about these issues because we're not afraid of discussing ideas. We're not afraid of challenging people and allowing people to challenge us. That's just the way that we grew up. Now, in some ways, you know, it makes it difficult for us to then talk to voters about, you know, issues that are of concern to them because we've got a little bit more of a philosophical background. Is there a bicycle coming?
I said 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, so that's
Thank
a great.
you,
That's a great. There, you can get it back. That's a great button. I'll admit, I set her up for that.
I know. I thought it was a bell, and it's a bicycle. It's a tricycle.
Remember, we got Tara gave it to me.
Yeah,
we
from
got
that
Earth Day.
Earth Day.
And I've been
The
using it
government
to
center.
help
I like that.
dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I might have to steal this for my own bicycle.
You got to figure out how to use it. Though. It's kind
Yeah, I know.
of.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I forgot my button
That's
today.
okay. If you had a
My
button
button
today.
is would be for mental health.
That was
support.
only his button speech.
Yeah.
That was my button speech.
That's why I was trying to get you to.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
We really love you, Jeff.
It was
we
a
really love you.
Look, it's a different kind of button. There you go.
But no wonder it was just R-A-D, rad.
Rad.
That's it.
Rad.
All right, I'm sorry, Barbara. If
That's
you had a
okay.
button, what would it be?
Mental health
Mm.
support
Mhm.
issues in conjunction with also the opioid crisis.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, listen, I do want to say, because I know this is not what we're going to be talking about, but I want to congratulate a good friend of mine who was a early campaign manager in my 2016 election, Janice Covington. She and some of the other fellow Democrats were able to get passed at the state convention this last weekend the very first transgender Democratic caucus in America. And that is a very, very important, because she had a lot of people who resisted it from our own LGBTQ community, specifically the gays and the lesbians, did not want it because they felt like it would weaken their movement, because it's usually just about them.
Oh, good Lord.
But
Really?
I think good people and sound minds came together and they were able to pass it. So I want to congratulate them. They have chapters that are forming all around the state. So it is the very first. So I do compliment. I had been a huge.
Now who's the chair? Janice?
Janice is the chair. Yeah. Okay,
Congratulations,
so
Janice.
now she has a seat at the table. I will say, because I do believe it's important to be fair, I have given our state chair a lot of grief for some of the things I believe he has not done. This was a good win for him. This was very important. He didn't stand in the way in it and probably even help them. So I want to thank Wayne Goodwin, who is our state chair, for doing that. Doesn't mean I agree on the other things,
Right.
but on this issue,
At least
I
he
appreciate.
supported.
Yes,
that,
yes.
So that's
So
good.
that was very important. I
Maybe that's what we're thinking. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah,
We'll see how it works out. So, congratulations, Janice, in the transgender Democrats for forming your caucus. It's a very important voice for us to have moving forward. So, let's.
Talking about caucus before you move forward,
Yes.
and have your bell ring just in case. I want to invite. This is going to be an open forum. Hopefully, we are back on track on the North Carolina
That's just a test.
Democrats, Hispanics.
Yes.
So hopefully, I'll be bringing in the dates and everything, the new meeting, and we would love to have everyone to come and join us and give us support. Our first meeting in our little cohort will be on June 22nd.
Oh, excellent.
But
Wonderful.
hopefully we'll start
And
going
then
back.
is that the Mecklenburg County
That's the
Democratic?
Mecklenburg,
Okay.
yes, our small chapter here.
So the Mecklenburg
So-
County Democratic Hispanic
Yes.
caucus will be meeting
And we're
good.
gonna start rolling again, because it's
Excellent.
been kind of slow
Yeah.
since last year. Courtney couldn't take it. What's his name couldn't.
Yeah.
Our
You're
other
getting the chair.
Marine. So yes, so we're putting all the board again together, and hopefully we'll make something good out of it.
Well, I think we also have to give a shout out.
I'm done.
Good for you.
We have to give a shout out to the state Democratic Hispanic.
Oh, yes.
Because they helped clear all that
Yes,
mess up.
David,
So
LP,
thank you.
all of them up
Thank
in
them for
Raleigh.
doing it.
Yes,
That's right. So, and we really need to reach out to our Hispanic community. Yes, that's right.
And especially our Hispanics are
Yes.
doing a lot.
Okay.
The Democratic Party
That's
caucus
great.
up there.
They-
Yes,
we
they're
are the
like
future.
being the little sting.
We are the
up
future
there.
of the party.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
With our black brothers and
Great.
sisters. All right, so
There is hope.
let's talk about the Trump's Mexican tariffs.
Oh Lord, I want my avocado.
we have come up with the hashtag Trump's Taco Tariffs.
That's
Okay,
not bad.
That's fair.
What do you think?
That's good.
Trump's
Well,
tacos terms.
Trump's Taco Tariffs.
Well,
Yeah, maybe it did work.
Everybody thinks that Trump is one taco short of a combination plate. So
That's a good one.
So I think that
Trump is one taco short of a combination platter. Good. I like
That's
that
a
one.
good one.
So
Okay.
you know, the
Can you
hashtag
picture him
fits.
eating
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even think he knows how to eat tacos.
he ate the. Remember, he took a picture on Cinco de Mayo or something with a bowl.
Yeah.
Well, so let's get to
Okay,
the
yeah.
topic of the
Photo
tariffs.
op,
Is
photo
that
op.
So 30 seconds.
yeah? So
How do you,
I actually have very little to say on this particular topic, and one reason is because the tariffs didn't actually go through.
through,
Right? It was.
right.
It
Yeah.
was I will say that it's important to understand that the president was somehow strangely delegated this authority over tariffs by the Congress, which you really can't do. So
Yes. Mhm.
the libertarian position is that the Congress should be doing tariffs because
Yes.
they're the ones that fund. And
Exactly.
tariffs have been historically
Yeah.
a very reasonable way of raising revenue,
Mhm.
better than the income tax in my view.
Okay.
But
So the
Congress should do it, not the
so
president.
the
because
so
you-
Congress should bring that power back to the back to Congress and
That's
take
right.
it away from the president.
That's right. Congress
Okay.
should take the power back, and the president, especially given the fact that he's a volatile, and unpredictable.
This president has
Yeah.
proven that. Sorry. This president has proven that there's many things we probably need to take away from the
Right,
president.
right, but the power of the presidency is immense,
Yes.
and he should not have this particular
You
power.
have it.
Therefore, take it back to the Congress. But it's your
Just
turn,
in time.
Barbara.
Barbara.
Just in time.
Just in time.
30 seconds.
I think what he's done with Mexico has
Mhm.
accomplished something that I didn't think was going to happen.
Okay.
The news that I've been watching and some of my friends in other states are very excited. The whole thing about avocados is just
Yes.
like erupted, and I mean it surprised me. But if he messes with our avocados, there's going to be military
You
action.
just took my words away.
I'm just like, okay, but
It's a healthy food.
I'm
Yes.
happy
Mm-hmm.
and I'm surprised.
Sure. Okay.
I'm just mad.
Well,
Okay.
I'm really am. I mean, I don't know. A lady I guess she was lost off track, and she said, "Oh no, he still has 4 more years to go. Isn't it 6 years here?" And I'm like, "No, it's a year and a half. So we're almost done,
That's right.
and he's almost gone."
But
But everybody keeps on saying he's coming back.
So let me ask you a question. And one of the results of this battle over the last couple of weeks was that Mexico committed to controlling its own borders
Borders.
a little
Mhm.
better, meaning that we somehow negotiated through his unpredictable diplomacy, the Mexican government,
Mhm.
to say, yeah, we're going to stop people from leaving our country into your country.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that makes
That
sense?
is going on. It doesn't really make sense because you gotta understand that the people that are passing through Mexico are not
Or
from
Central
the
America.
Mexico.
Exactly. Yeah.
and they're not going to
And
stop.
actually,
Yeah.
Mexico is doing a lot of work, a lot of it's very tough for them as well because they are covering and taking care of something that doesn't belong to them.
Mhm.
A lot of Central Americans are coming in and they're stationing, especially on the border. I have a lot of friends. I just had another friend that came last week, and he told us that his ministry has boarded over 200 Cubans, Venezuelans, Angola, whatever from over there in
Angola.
Africa,
Mangolese?
a whole bunch of other foreign
Yeah.
countries, then
Yeah.
Honduras and Guatemala and Salvador.
Okay.
So we gotta understand that Mexico can't have the full responsibility of covering or preventing.
Just
the
because
border
they're the
passage.
past,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yes. What I'm understanding is the way the border itself is working and operating, it is violating a lot of our constitutional rights. Because a lot of these people have crossed in a respectful way,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
and then they are sent back and telling them, no, we can't, no.
Right. So there are international laws of asylum
Mhm.
Yeah.
that we are signatories
Yep.
to. We are party to those treaties and
Yep.
those rules. And if we withdraw from that,
Mhm.
that means we are in violation of international law. Of course.
And that's what he's trying to do.
Of course, we've got the $1 trillion military budget, so
That's right.
good luck enforcing
And
it.
then
But
he's
that
trying
just
to enforce
that's
that.
right.
You know, he's trying to take our military people to go and station in our border.
Well,
Yeah.
What?
There's
no war.
Those are excellent points.
Yeah.
So you believe the tariffs should be taken away from the president back to Congress, which makes logical sense.
That's right, and not just
you
this,
are happy
this
with
president,
the result
but,
of what happened,
but
what occurred,
permanency.
Right.
and you are mad because you
Yes.
feel as if though
It just
This-
it doesn't make any sense. Why would he take away some of this? What is it called? A lot of their produce, a lot of their
Yeah,
products
sure.
and stuff.
Yeah.
The Mexico
Well,
for years.
I think I can settle everyone's minds.
Let's see.
Let's hear
He
it.
put on his
Please.
glasses.
So
give us the answer.
the reality is nothing happened. Trump made this threat about the tariffs.
Okay.
Friday, 4 or 5 o'clock, I think is maybe 6
Yeah.
o'clock.
But he was
said that
speaking
they
yesterday.
No, Friday tweeted they have reached an agreement. He didn't say the word historic, but he said we've reached an agreement. Everything is settled. Immigration. This given the impression to people who follow him, we've settled the border issue. They have caved in. Turns out they agreed to nothing. Nothing actually happened. The agreement that they made, that they allegedly made, Mexico was already doing. All they said was, we will continue to do what we're doing,
Yep.
and we will try to do better. That's all they said. It didn't fix anything at the border. Nothing has changed.
So he's making it look like he did.
Well, this is my point.
Okay.
My point is anyone surprised? There is nothing that Trump has said, whether it's Korea, China, even when he did the NAFTA thing, nothing actually changed NAFTA. It was the original agreement. There was one thing that was changed in NAFTA, the new NAFTA thing. Is anyone actually surprised that we're going to be talking? Nothing has actually happened.
I wouldn't
not
go.
surprised.
I wouldn't go that far. There have been some. He has actions have been taken.
Yes.
Things that, especially in North Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, because these things take years. So I'm going to give him. I'm going to suspend judgment until some of the longer term things.
But on the
Mexico thing, yeah. But that is just we know this as office seekers that the job of a politician is to find a parade and jump in front of it, grab the baton and say, "Look at this parade that I organized," right?
We're getting organized.
So blaming him for doing that is just.
Oh, I'm not blaming him for doing it. All I'm saying is that
like he's making a
he made it sound like he's fixed everything.
Yeah, but it's not
Which
being
would be
fixed.
fine if he fixed everything, but we're going to be talking about the border in 2 weeks, in a month.
Okay.
It's going to be an endless. It's going to be like your election, endless thing.
Well, so the
Hey, Janice!
So the problem is that you actually listen to what Trump says.
Yes.
Whereas I tend not to actually listen to what he
Oh, okay.
says. So I look a couple days later, because just to repeat myself, I tend not to listen to him because I don't actually like to listen to him. I see clips and I don't want to see it.
You just answered my question.
Me.
I was going to ask you, Jeff, why?
I
As a
just-
politician, you don't want nobody to listen to you?
I want people to listen to me, and people listen to him like they're like clickbait, right? They're like, it's like a train wreck. They can't turn away from it. I mean, that's the MSNBC, CNN. That's their business model.
Well,
That's
so
him.
I guess at the end of the day, we
I'll
all
ring my own bell.
So at the end of the day, we do have different views on what transpired with the Mexican border. I will say that.
I should go back to Mexico. And
Yeah, so I think in 2 weeks from now, maybe we can have another conversation what really occurred.
Yeah.
My understanding is, because I've seen people kind of from both sides digest what exactly has occurred, and my understanding is nothing has actually occurred. The Mexican consulate actually said there is no new agreement that was made.
Nada.
And so, this historic victory.
Yes.
Whatever happens, all I care is about my avocados.
And the fact that we're still having Taco Tuesday at my house.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Hey, Booth. Hey,
So
we want to
do
say
you
hi
wanna-
to Janice,
You want to segue on to the ice
Belen,
stuff?
Yes.
Bella, Tara. Hi.
Tara, we got the
Thank you
concha.
for watching.
Got your conchas.
Conchas. Janice, you might want to watch the beginning of the show. We congratulate your caucus. And thank you everyone for sharing this video. I'm pretty sure other people can watch it later on.
Yes, and they will. And we know they watch it secretly
Oh,
because they
yes.
don't want us to see who they are. And many of them are, but we won't say their
But
names
we're
right now.
happy. 'Cause
All right.
this is not only for one group, it's for everyone.
Exactly. So let's go into ICE real quickly.
Right.
Maybe
Oh,
like 5
Lord.
minutes.
What a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Tell me.
Okay, so let's start backwards because Tillis,
Yes.
Senator
Yes.
Tom Tillis,
Mhm.
has announced that he's going to be withholding transportation funds. So
Which he
that's
can't.
infrastructure spending.
Which he
Okay.
can't.
Well,
He
he
can't.
he does have some power to
Not over the
restrict it.
purse.
As a senator, that's true, but
Yeah.
he can. I think
Twist
he can.
some other
He can
arms.
twist some other arms, right? And so he's attempting to extort city leaders
Okay.
to pressure
Sheriff.
McFadden and to pressure the other 5 sheriffs. So there's 6 sheriffs, right, in North
Yes.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just as a factual matter, right, from the
Yep.
major counties.
Yep.
And they are trying to resist, you know, the 287G.
Sure.
They've etched it out. So ICE is trying to
Yeah.
pressure
Put
them,
pressure. Yeah.
and that means DHS is pressuring our
Sure.
congressmen and
Sure.
senators to enforce these
Sure.
agreements. And so this is really, and so this is also going to the North Carolina General Assembly,
Sure.
and the General Assembly is considering the bill. I'm just working
HB
backwards, right?
370.
370.
Yes, which
To
we are against.
That's right. We
I
are
believe
we're all against.
it.
We're on the,
Okay.
but they're trying
know
to
if-
get they're trying to get cooperation,
Mhm.
and that just means that sheriffs would be literally obliged
Sure.
to violate the law.
Yeah.
So this is state law
Yeah,
in conflict
Mhm.
with constitutional law.
Okay.
So I am in full agreement with the ACLU,
Mhm.
and I think parts of the Democratic Party, certainly most of the Libertarian
It's on our
Party
platform.
on this issue. Yeah.
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 The real Democrats
Mhm.
are against 287G.
Yeah.
They're against HB 370. They're for immigration. They're for Dreamers. Real Democrats are.
That's right.
There are some Democrats that are running right now in a special election
Hey,
that do not.
That's right. And
Belen from
this is-
Telemundo is telling us that today they'll be voting for HB 370
That's right.
at the assembly at 2
Oh.
p.m.
Excellent.
Oh.
Thank you,
Okay.
Belen. Thank
so,
you.
for-
So if you
that does it.
can call your local congressman,
Sure. Yes.
I've been trying to
And state.
reach Dan Bishop,
Yeah.
who's
Oh.
my local congressman, my local senator, but he doesn't really want to pick up the phone
No,
and
he's
talk
too
to
busy,
me.
and he's actually using this. He's got some.
Well, the
some
majority
social
are not
media ads
picking
about
up.
that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
The
Yeah.
majority are not picking up, but it doesn't matter. We still can have, you can either send emails, and I'll be posting the list because what's her name, Elkis, sent us yesterday, last night at the
And
group.
what's his
Okay.
on right?
The emails,
All
we
right.
can send emails, bombard it, leave voicemails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ruth,
Do something.
Let me ask you a question about that because a lot of people, we make recommendations
Mhm.
and we know that it's difficult for a lot of people to take the initiative
Mhm.
to actually call their state senator, their state congressman, even their city council, because you can't just get on the phone to them,
No.
and sometimes the emails don't get addressed and sometimes it's just a form. So it's not easy to contact them, and so that's why frequently we're out
Sure.
in person trying
Yep.
to meet them.
Well, there's a
and
big
influence them.
group, especially, I know I can speak for the Latino and African Americans. There's unity and there's big groups that are attending the General Assembly.
Okay.
They are putting pressure
Sure.
and presence
Right.
in
Excellent.
person.
So we need to make
That's-
sure
that's
that if you're
good, yeah.
if you're a Democrat
And
in
of course,
in
that's
North
in Raleigh,
Carolina,
so.
that is part of our platform that you need to step up to the plate. And there are some.
And even though you don't believe,
Democrats
and if you
that-
don't believe in parties, but I mean, if you don't want your neighbor, if you don't want, for ICE to be harassing our families, just go up and show up and be there. You don't
Sure.
have to say anything, but you can sit there and
Be
show
a
your
person.
presence.
That's right, and this is a broadly multi-party issue.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
because
there-
a lot of
and
like
it does, and it does divide the parties. in
Correct.
some
because
respects.
there are
a
Republicans
lot of people
that are
say, well,
immigration
if
friendly.
you're a Democrat,
Yeah.
you can go. It's not about Democrats.
yeah,
that's
It's
right.
about our neighbors.
That's right.
I will tell you, anyone who remembered what I said about the election that Mark Harris won,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mark Harris was more immigration friendly
Yeah.
and more Latinx
Yes.
friendlier
That's right.
than Dan McCready was.
Yes.
That's right. And he's more because he's more of a sort of a traditional Reagan.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Now Dan Bishop, I don't know if he is. I hope to sit down with Dan Bishop and find out exactly where he stands. I know what he's doing.
His political messaging is very negative and very aggressive on this, and it's very disappointing. So if you're,
but we know the Libertarian. I understand what the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. They're pro-immigration and so
that's
forth.
Right.
So
in fact, let me just take 60 seconds to talk about our event
60.
this week.
Go ahead.
Well, and I know
Wait.
I know you
ahead.
want to chime in here,
Yeah,
but I just want to talk about the fact that our vice chair Alex Merced.
Yes.
This is his short book on his thoughts that he published, but he came to speak to the Libertarian Party of North Carolina in Mecklenburg County. And we had a good showing. We had 20 people,
and we broadcasted a little bit of that live on our Facebook page. And we actually interviewed him. Coffee and Ponduce interviewed him, and I was so impressed that the vice chair of the Libertarian Party, Libertarian National Party, is a Latinx individual who speaks Spanish.
Oh.
And we had a conversation of how he became. He was anti-war. He came from Guatemala. His family, his father's from Puerto Rico. And he talked, and I said, why should Latinx people, and there's many reasons why. Well, first of all, Latinx individuals were so diverse, we need to look at all the parties.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
because
that's right. There's no one.
And I was very impressed on his smart young man.
Yeah.
He's thinking about moving to Charlotte.
That's right.
So we were kind of encouraging him between Charlotte and Orlando. So if you're listening, please move to
Charlotte.
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 But I was really impressed that of what he was sharing with me, and I think that if he got in front of many of our Latinx individuals, I think they would also be very impressed on the Libertarian Party's stance on how they have helped and how they can help our community. I can tell you that the Cano Institute, the Libertarians for Immigration, they do an incredible job.
They do
of posting realistic stuff.
Yes.
As a Democrat, I'm almost embarrassed because they're doing a better job than we are doing.
Yeah,
but
Cato's absolutely
But see,
great.
we gotta understand that this political thing, I understand and I respect every single party, but like I go back to my root.
Yeah.
We have to understand that our neighbors are the ones that are suffering.
Yes.
And why don't we step down about our parties and think about what's right and what's wrong for our safety?
Before we answer that question, tell me what you think about, or do you have anything to add about the ICE situation?
I think that the sheriffs have taken the right position. I totally disagree with why should the federal government come in here and tell our sheriffs what they're supposed to be doing and breaking laws.
Exactly.
I totally agree with our sheriffs.
Well, all I can say is that Tom Tellis has absolutely no power over the purse. It's all campaign rhetoric. It's all rhetoric. So the elected officials, I support McFadden. I appreciate the fact that he has the courage to understand it's political rhetoric and just to not listen to it. The only person that I could think would cave in would be Val Lyles, our mayor, because she's afraid of everything.
Yeah.
But we do need our elected officials to stand up and say, listen, our sheriff was democratically elected on the platform of getting ready 287G. It wasn't like he just came up
and he won.
And he won.
That's right.
So
tremendously.
the people spoke.
The people spoke.
Yeah.
And so
we gotta
I
understand
believe
that some of this that are raising our issues are people that are being incarcerated, and of course they go through a judge bond set up. Once the judge set up a bond, then that's not the sheriff's fault or anything. The person decides to pay for the bond and let them out.
That's right.
So I don't understand why they're putting so much pressure to the sheriff if he's doing his job on incarcerating, any criminals that are committing crime. Right. Just like you, just like me, just like any other citizen from Mecklenburg County.
Just to keep it short here, federalizing local law enforcement, imposing costs on localities. It's what we used to call in the old days an unfunded mandate.
Unfunded,
We're requiring you to do these things for us, to make these extra expenditures. And in this case, we're asking you to detain people longer than is permitted. We actually want you to hold people in violation of the Fourth Amendment.
It's so interesting, and we talk about this all the time on this show. And Barbara, those of us who remember the Reagan years, it's so interesting to see how changed the Republican Party is. The Republican Party used to be the party of small government, local rule, get out of my business, and now they are completely unrecognizable right now. You have a bunch of buffoons, and I say that
I say that respectfully.
Well, don't take me bad. Don't take me bad. But I mean, the majority of the Republicans that became Republicans used to be Democrats.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I guess they didn't get away with whatever they wanted to do. They became into Republicans, and that's how they're making it. But
I also believe there was this infusion after 9/11. That, you know, the Tea Party was there was this infusion of evangelical Christians that didn't have anywhere to go, and they saw an opening in the Republican Party, and they jumped into the Republican Party, got intermixed with the Tea Party. Yeah. They kind of took over the Tea Party for a little bit, and then they kicked them out because they were just radical, crazy people. And now the Tea Party and the Republican Party, the Tea Party is the Freedom Caucus, but the evangelical individuals, they were not really accepted in the Republican Party because they were too crazy. And now they're
too radical.
And they are feared in the Republican Party because they're very vocal. The same, we have that in our party, the Democratic Party.
Right.
There are some individuals in our Democratic Party that
right.
You know, are
well, let me just add one thing,
yes.
which is we don't want to let Ronald Reagan off the hook here.
No, because he brought him in.
He brought him in, and that was part of his strategy.
Yeah.
And I understand, you know, you're building coalitions and building support, but
you got to understand that he did a balance plan.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't just bring. Yes, he passed some of this. He gave. It was like a equal thing. Okay,
yes.
this is good, but also this. And that's what we want. We want that if we're gonna end up having a government, let's have it, you know, the way it used to be.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, let me clarify. Then you can say, I think what you're saying is the way Reagan did it is he opened it. He was trying to open the party up for many branches,
for a broader base, because he himself had been a Democrat.
That's right. Yeah. Whereas the current Republican Party is not opening itself. They're only opening themselves up for one extreme.
Right. And so
the Democratic Party is similar to that way too.
Yeah.
The centralists in our party don't want progressives in the party because
it's quite obvious.
There are groups that are at loggerheads. Yeah. So big tents at loggerheads. All political parties, almost by definition, have to be big tents. They have to form large coalitions.
Yes.
They have to be able to work together in common. And if they're constantly fighting, and I know this as a libertarian, we're constantly fighting about Venezuela or something, you know. If they're not managing those conflicts, they're really eating their corn seed. I mean,
I think, I know we've had this conversation, but I really believe that we are probably a generation away from the two-party system going away. I believe that.
Well, I'll drink to that.
No, I do believe that it is a natural evolution of democracy of a country as a country starts to realize that even within our Democratic Party, you have the Progressive Caucus, you have your centralists, and then you have your Democrats who are really Republicans, but they want to run as because they're not
accepted in the party.
They're ill-defined.
Yeah, then you have the unaffiliated, and I believe we're going to become a nation where you're going to have to reach those. You're going to have to get coalitions. So the Democratic Party in the future will have to join with another party, the Green Party or whatever the party, to form a government. I don't know if our government will.
The government had to understand that white and black go together. Government is government, and we understand that. But if there's no way they can only do things on their own, on one side of the party, they gotta understand that it takes unity. It takes two to make one. And it sounds funny, but it does. It takes two to make one.
It takes two to make one.
So they're gonna have to do something.
Commercial, isn't it?
That's what I thought. She's really just quoting a commercial. We don't know what she's talking about.
Is it a commercial?
One more thing.
Who are you sponsored
being
by?
the oldest here, I believe. I'm gonna go back to school.
Okay.
Studies that we called civics.
Yep.
I want to know where the separation of church and state went. I am sick and tired of it. And a lot of our evils would go away if they enforce that.
That's the reason that it irks the heck out of me, especially here in North Carolina and Charlotte, where they're still on the very fringes of the kind of the southern way that they campaign. It's ending, you can tell.
Yeah.
But you can't go to an event here, usually a Democratic event, without let's bow our heads and let's pray. And what I've said is, if I have to bow my head and pray, then we're in serious trouble. You should know what we're doing before. I should have to pray for that.
Yeah.
Now, I pray. I pray in the car before I get out, because I need the courage to get in there and face the exactly.
Yeah.
But I do think that when it's a government elected official, that you have to respect everyone. We don't do that in the business world. I've never been in a meeting. I've never been in a meeting where we have been and we said, "Okay, everyone, let's bow our head and pray." Now, I have been in a meeting where something has happened. We said, "Everyone, let's just have a moment of silence, whatever." And that's a special occasion.
Right.
That's right.
But I've never had that forced upon.
That's right.
anyone.
So I agree with Barbara here. I'm a secular candidate, so I believe that we have to have.
It's a secular position.
Keep our civic institutions civic, and people can obviously have different religious faiths, and they can bring in they can bring their values in and talk about
that's going to lead us into our second segment, so that way we don't run under NCO9 election.
Second,
that is why it drove me crazy when our Democratic nominee Dan McCready spent so much money on commercials, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "I'm a Christian."
Yeah.
Democratic.
Yes.
We sat at a debate.
I'm a Christian.
You and
so
I,
what?
the three of us sat at a debate
where that's all
where
I said.
I forget the specific question, and the first thing that came out of two of the candidates' mouth was, as a religious person, I'm going, wait a minute.
Exactly.
You can't say, well, she did say it.
So I'm a Marine and I'm a Christian. I'm not a crusader.
And I don't own a television. I don't watch television, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm a Christian.
Anyway.
It is so
like,
against.
Are we not at a political thing? And I'm hearing about the Lord and Jesus.
So
and
I hope I don't have to see any more of those commercials. So NCO9 update election. I will say that we were shopping at Harris Tater, and I picked up my weekly South Charlotte Weekly.
Awesome.
And
yes, awesome. I should have picked one of those up too.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's congratulate. So here's the thing I like about this picture. Okay.
Yeah.
Lily's in it.
Lily.
And Alan is in it. But I think the fact that he's at a podium.
Yes.
He's got his party standing behind him. He's got some great coverage here. Congratulations, Alan.
They didn't put a picture of you though.
They did not put a picture. What?
I'm not here.
They mentioned you.
Okay, so
At least you got mentioned.
anyway, I do like this.
His bell. Time.
I was impressed by this article. It was very short and very fair, and it talked about what he was standing up for, the Green New Deal, which is very important. Because if you are a climate change person, which I am, he seems to be, out of the four candidates, and I think I can say this, he's the only one that really truly believes in the Green New Deal.
Right.
You do not.
That's true.
Our Libertarian Party does not. We know Dan Bishop does not, and he probably won't even admit he believes in climate change. We know Dan McCready, who's a solar energy, does not believe in the Green New Deal. And if you ask him, he will. He doesn't exactly know what he says. This is a very, very important issue for our party. It's so important that Biden yesterday has now agreed, who's a centralist, has now agreed to debate. Have a debate with the other presidential candidates about climate change. It is that important to our party, and that's one of the reasons why this is very, very important. So if you are a Democrat and look up Alan and have the conversation. And when you talk to Dan McCready, who's a Democrat nominee, ask him, why don't you support our own party? Of course he's going to say, I'm going to work with Democrats and Republicans.
He owns a solar plant.
But he doesn't support wind energy.
But it's the same, whenever I see a broad platform.
Because that would compete with his company.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, whenever I see a broad platform of proposals, I go through it and I pick and choose. It's just like a salad bar. Do I like this? Well, I like this under certain circumstances. So I can say that about the Green Deal. I can say that about the program of the yellow vests.
I
in
wonder if
France,
McDonald's
you know,
is
that
changing
I could select
into
things
green.
that I agree with.
Sure.
So
Some of the restaurants
Some of the
already
fast food
changed.
places
Yes,
So
yeah,
anything
but not
else?
McDonald's yet.
Yeah. Anything else updating about the incident on election? Other than we are exactly yesterday, we're 3 months from election day.
That's right.
Early voting should be
3
starting
months.
probably in.
we are on
August,
we are on a
Absentee
script to
balloting
go in.
starts maybe like in 15 days. 45 days before the elections,
Oh.
absentee ballot
Really?
starts.
Okay.
And that'll be interesting because
Oh, yeah, 15 days.
this whole thing started about absentee balloting, so it'll
Right.
be interesting. And the Democratic Party will be out there trying to get absentee ballots.
But the feds
yeah.
are also stationed down
Good.
here, and they
Yeah.
are going to be monitoring some of these
Monitoring.
sites, and we
Sure.
don't really know what that consists of.
Yeah.
So they are going to be watching,
Sure.
and then there's still a lot of discussion about whether the balloting itself, the paper ballots and stuff. That's a whole separate topic we should.
Any polling numbers come out?
Yeah.
I'm at 2%. I think Alan's at 1%.
Good.
I
That's
know
3%,
Democratic had a Latino forum or Latino night, whatever.
How did that go?
I didn't go.
Do you know anybody who went?
I have no clue. That's why I'm mentioning it. Hopefully,
I'm
I'll get
curious.
I'm
An
so.
update from somebody.
Yeah, I would like to get an update because I didn't see no pictures. I didn't see no event. Something, when it's an American restaurant and they have all this going on with Democratic, all these white ladies out there, please excuse me, but all their pictures and
No
everything
offense taken.
pretending.
Yeah.
But it was Latino. It was at a Taco La Única down in Walk Up Street.
I think it's very, and this is, once again, I say this all the time.
Your ideas.
It is
Your
very,
mentality.
it is very telling that Dan McCready has ignored our community
Mhm.
his entire life.
Well,
And
maybe
then-
that's
and-
why the community
and
ignored
then-
him and didn't do nothing.
And then when he decided to run for office, he ignored us again.
Yeah.
Didn't attend the Latinx candidate forums.
Mm-mm.
Didn't attend, and you know how involved Olma.
He only
and
attended the
and-
Black Political Caucus where
Only
he
once?
called you.
Yes, but then he didn't show up for the other one.
He didn't show up.
He didn't show up for the other
no,
one.
That's
Oh yeah,
not
he
true.
didn't
That's
show up
not,
the Taco Mac
So
one.
it-
No, that's not true. He didn't show up at the Black Political. He did show up at the Black
But then he
Political
left.
Caucus,
But he
but
left.
then he left.
And then
Yeah.
his
And then
campaign
Aaron
manager sat
Simpson,
there and talked.
yeah.
But what's interesting is, and I think it's very telling because I think it's his actions speak so loud. He doesn't care
Yeah.
whether black voters vote for him. He doesn't care whether LGBT people vote for him. He doesn't care whether Latinos, Muslims, or any of what I call our new base.
So that's telling me maybe
He doesn't-
they're about to cheat on the voting or
because-
something.
no, because-
he guarantees he's winning.
Because their philosophy is, what option do they have?
Right.
That it is such an arrogant philosophy. It's the same philosophy Hillary
Here's
had.
an option.
And you would
Now
have thought
is
he
an
would have
option.
learned that.
Yeah.
So the reason he had that event last night was because we've been blasting him and blasting him and blasting him. Even people within the Democratic
I haven't
Party
seen
have been
any
blasting him. So he had this
comments.
event, but he didn't broadcast it live. He didn't answer any questions.
I didn't see no
And
pictures.
he didn't invite any Latinx leaders.
That
Okay. So
Interesting.
again,
Interesting.
to be fair to the people who run campaigns and set these things up, and I hate being in a position where I'm defending him, but he's just trying to play catch up, and he did it. He did an event and he took some pictures and said it was great to do this, and
that's a
And that's-
great
and
idea of you.
and
But let
that's-
me tell you something. I don't think it's him. I think it's the organizers that are really wanting him to win.
Yeah.
Because the phone call that I got was from one Puerto Rican guy. His name is Jose. He's the vice chair for the Democratic Party in Union County. He's the one that called me
yeah.
and invited me to this forum.
Yeah.
Then I got a phone call from Lynn over the weekend
Yeah.
on Saturday trying to see if I could go and
Yeah.
stuff and meet them. So it's actually not really
It's not him.
himself. It's the party itself
But
that's trying their
they're
best
trying
to
so
bring
hard to
in
help
the
him.
union.
And that's
And that's
we-
awesome because they're
that's
trying
right.
to help him, but
That's
he's
right.
not
He doesn't want to
being
help.
helped.
A little late.
Yeah.
But I think that does show the privilege and the arrogance of Dan McCready and his campaign.
Because he had one on
There's-
Thursday at
there is-
Waxhaw.
There is
I ain't
no
go
there
either.
is no other candidate that I've ever known in this region that has gotten so much help
Like him, yeah.
like him. No one.
Yeah.
I was at the wear orange march, and a gentleman had spoken, and he came to stand next to me, and one of the Democracy, ladies,
Supporter?
yeah, one of the ladies, they're
cheerleaders, okay.
one of the, they're kind of a little wacko, so came up and made sure that I heard her give him the card and say, "We really would like for you to support Dan McCready. We need boots on the ground. We need this," and she looks at me like this, and she walks away, and he started laughing, and he was like. And I, of course, she did it on purpose. I could hear. That's the caliber of the people that support him. And I turned to him.
Is
and
there
I
like
said,
an academy or a training center or something? Because they
so-
all talk the same.
So I turned to him and I started laughing. She goes, "That is like the sixth person who's come up to me." And he said, "I just throw those cards away." And it is so. And what I thought was, what is so sad is that they are doing all of this work, and Dan McCready doesn't even have the courtesy to show up there. Most candidates want to show up there. They are doing it's almost so when you say it's a professionally run, I don't see that.
And that's fine. It's just that we know that the major parties have big advantages over me and over Alan, and they're spending money, and the money that they're spending is to generate advertising on cable and reach people, and so it's a big budget campaign.
But
Dan Bishop doesn't need to talk to me.
But this
he told me to my face.
But Jeff,
I don't need to do this.
Jeff, this is the reason I'm concerned.
Wow.
I've watched the John Ossoff election where they spent $27 million to help this guy, and he didn't even help himself, and he lost. He was a centralist.
Yeah.
I watched the Hillary Clinton campaign where you had all these Hillary ladies, the pink pussy hat ladies, all out there fighting, and Mark Friedman from here was all going crazy and everything, and then they lost, and then they just went into this deep depression. I saw the Dan McCready going, and I saw that, and then when he lost, and then he disappeared and didn't ask for a recount. I saw on social media people were so distraught, like their life had ended, and then they were mad at Dan McCready because he didn't ask for a recount. Here we are again. All of these people, their whole life is their idol, Dan McCready.
I have a question on
if
that.
If he loses,
this is a.
I don't think they idolize.
This is a re-election. This is a recount election. Actually, he's. The term is about to be over if he wins their stuff. So then he has to work his butt off again.
If he runs.
If he runs.
I'm afraid of the Dan McCready cult when he loses or if he loses because.
So how long is he going to be in the term? Because
until he gets more money for his solar investment. Let's move on. All right. Next thing.
One more thing. I am reading Shattered again.
Okay.
Everything you guys just said is exactly what Hillary did and didn't do. So history repeating itself again. What is going on? I don't know.
And Shattered was the account of the 2016 election.
And if you look at everything that our Democratic nominee is doing, it is almost exactly what Hillary did. Understand it because most of the people on his staff of the DCCC are Hillary people. And it is hard for them to change because they believe in a certain way of winning. They haven't won an election. So you would think you would want to hire people who've actually won elections. All right, so let's go because this is very important. Opioids.
Okay.
Opioid crisis.
Let's do this as an intro to this.
Okay.
Because since we met last week, I put my feelers out to the people in my old industry, which is the pharmaceutical industry, which means pharmaceutical people, pharmacists. I know a few morticians, healthcare community people, and said, here's what I'm working on again.
Okay.
They understand my personal bent in this, but we won't share that today. I think that the general public does not understand really what happened. And my mission has been to put it out there in the general public and say, this is what happened.
Sure.
This is why we had an opioid crisis. We still have an opioid crisis. And I think the people that are responsible for it, people should know who they are. I have been cautioned by reporters and other people because they know that I have a big mouth when I get mad about something. And this is being ignored. And I've gone to people in Mecklenburg County and asked, I can help give me something to do, I want to help. Nothing. I've been talking to a couple Congress people, nothing. I asked to speak to the chief of police because he put on that opioid conference, nothing. So maybe I started too high on the food chain, but what I started to do is do a recap and put together, here's what 60 Minutes found, here's what the Washington Post found, and are still trying to get information from the Freedom of Information Act to further investigate what happened, and they're stonewalling them still, and this is from 2015.
Yeah.
They're breaking federal laws, not giving big media institutions the ammunition that they pretty well know is there, that they can't get it. And the feeling is that it's because several of the people that helped sponsor the bill called
Was it the Marino Act?
the Ensuring Patient Access and Effective Drug Enforcement Act of 2016.
And that passed during the Obama
That was
administration.
Obama
the
signed
Marino
it.
Act
Sure.
from,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Obama signed that.
Yeah.
Obama didn't know what he signed. And then when he found out, there were 9 Democrats in the, forget what the mix is, that tried to introduce other bills. This is in 2016 now.
Yeah.
Nothing has happened with any of these bills to fix it. But
Well, what do some of the listeners need to know about, especially because I saw this 60 Minutes
Right,
program
right.
and I watched it, and it was about 30 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. It's
Right.
pretty easy to find. But you know, one of their main and it was 60 Minutes working together with the Washington Post,
right,
and they were the ones trying to uncover what was really going on
What
at
happened.
the DEA, right? And so this was all about people at the DEA being corrupted by the pharmaceutical industry,
no,
right?
no. The DEA was doing their job,
Right.
and they're doing it so effectively that people in the drug industry, pharmaceutical manufacturers, and then the drug distributors were scared to death, really mad, and they went to congressmen and senators
And they
and
lobbied
said,
for this
Okay,
law.
so the
Okay.
question is, when you say they were doing their job, what do you mean?
I mean, they were stopping shipments that the DEA deems suspect shipments,
Right.
too large of shipments going into given states to support
Right.
the normal usage.
That's right. So the West Virginia location, for example, was getting, you know, there was
Ohio,
there,
West
yeah.
Virginia.
So there's a pharmacy there. It's a town of 5,000 people,
And
but
getting-
they were sending, you know,
Because
gobs and gobs
that
of
new
this
law
stuff.
allowed that to happen.
Correct, but
Okay,
if
yeah.
we back up now,
Sure.
the DEA, it's called Drug Enforcement Administration.
Yeah.
This new bill that was signed in 2016, that is now law, took the word enforcement out of the DEA. Now there's all kinds of legal battles about what it did, but
Sure.
the 2 namesayers, and I
Yeah.
won't mention their names
Mhm.
because I've been asked not to, the pharmaceutical, drug manufacturer, legal people say, this really made it crystal clear on kinder, friender, gentle DEA.
Sure.
The real law people that are in the government and DEA officials say, you took all the enforcement policies away from them. They are now pencil pushers for drug administration. They're still working with the Department of Justice on other issues. They're working with Customs. They're working with 2 other organizations that I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, there's nobody stopping these big shipments anymore. There's no means to track that anymore, even though people are doing their jobs and selling
Sure.
their information. There's nothing to stop them because the only agency that had the power has no power.
So let me ask a question then, because this comes right out of the sort of the libertarian view of the world, which is that an agency that is set up to regulate something eventually will turn around and get captured by the industry, because the industry's got the money, the profits, the lawyers, the power, the political contributions, and they can turn around after a while and say, we're going to take over this agency and strip it down, and maybe defang it, maybe hire some of their key
So that's
people.
the reason libertarians do not believe in
That form of
that-
regulation,
okay.
right? Because we see it as a form of absolute corruption.
Sure.
Because the industry, in a sense, those industries like the pharmaceutical
Sure.
industry are their turf is essentially protected, right? And so it's easy for them to capture the people who work at the DEA. And in that 60 Minutes piece, they showed how people had been hired away, people at the highest levels.
56 extremely important, influential DEA officials, the minute this bill was passed, left and went to the
work
pharmaceutical industry
or
law firms supporting.
That's right. And that's where they know where their bread is buttered, right?
This is, and I want to apologize because we promised an entire show on
Right,
this.
but we can do it later.
Yeah.
We need to.
There are things that should be brought out.
We're going to
They don't
schedule
want
an
us to
entire
do that.
show on this, and that's all we're because this is really
it's
important.
critical.
We talked
That's
about how
right.
this is an important issue on the campaign trail.
That's right. In
Out
District
in the
9,
rural areas,
absolutely.
in Bladen County, in Robeson County.
Stanley
Wait,
County, too.
That was one of the number 1 or 2 questions that was asked of me and Robert Pittenger when we campaigned in those 8 counties.
Right.
Was what's your views of the opioid crisis? I know if Dan McCready did campaign out there, he would also know that is what they're talking about.
Right.
That's why it's so important, and it irks the heck out of me that Democrats would be okay with having a nominee who represents us, because that nominee is the face of Democrats.
Yes.
And what he looks like to other Democrats, and for us to have a nominee that won't even talk about this issue, that won't sit down and talk intelligently and say, Dan McCready, how do you feel about the opioid crisis, and how would you vote on that? For him to say, well, I would work with Republicans, that's both. How do you feel about transgender? How do you feel about ICE funding? How do you feel, because these are questions that we need to know how you're going
It's
to vote.
affecting everyday
life
of people, and in our own county
and it is
5 people a day are dying.
It is unacceptable
okay?
that Democrats, that we would allow someone to represent our party, first of all, who doesn't even say he is a Democrat in his commercials. All he says is, I will work with. He never says, "Hi, I'm Dan McCready. I'm a Democrat. I'm proud to be a Democrat." I run it. He wants to give you the impression that he's not a Democrat. That is really that's terrible. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is where my frustration comes from. My frustration comes from all of us want, and let's not take Dan McCready, use his face.
Yeah.
Any candidate that does this, Dan Bishop. We all deserve. That was our whole argument with Robert Pittenger. Is Robert Pittenger ignored us, wouldn't have town hall meetings, was arrogant whenever we spoke with him. That was why we did not like Robert Pittenger. And now we need candidates that sit and we can have these conversations.
So to be fair,
Yes.
right? We want to be fair. This is a very complex topic.
Yeah.
We talked about all the areas it touches. Substance abuse, economic development. Drugs, drug reform, patenting, pricing stuff. So this is a very complex problem. It's a complex problem for politicians. Some people simply are in over their head talking about it, unless they've got a very good research staff, unless they can be briefed, unless they understand how these policies have developed over the years, unless they've developed some kind of coherent position about drug prohibition and the effects of drug prohibition, whether they even know the history of that, whether they've even got an opinion about the great American experiment with prohibition, and the idea that if you don't like something, should we just ban it? I mean, a lot of people still think in this sort of caveman kind of way.
But you and I were at one of Edric's Friday morning meetings,
Right.
and that lady from the Department of Justice, Kate,
That's right.
was there,
Yeah.
and Bill Brawley was reading the newspaper,
That's right.
Wall Street Journal ad about the big drug bust that they had in Ohio, West Virginia, and
Was it
Kind of.
Asheville or? So, anyway,
she was DOJ. She was, and she all the caveats legally. I'm not blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Blah. Okay, fine. But when I mentioned, well, the real problem is the DEA, she had no idea what I was talking about. I'm going, and Wesley and I looked at each other because he and I have had several conversations. I'm trying to find another way in to help or do something.
So technically, the DEA is under the Department of Justice.
No. They are separate organizations, but they are responsible for co-managing given situations. And
they report. I believe they
but
do report up to.
But they are
the
all
DOJ.
under the Department of Justice.
That's right.
But
I
they don't supervise you.
I don't mean to cut you guys off, but we're over right now,
Okay.
and I want to thank you, but we want to have an entire show on that because it's very, very important.
Yeah.
Let's read our constitutional quote of the week real quickly. Does anyone remember which one it is?
Oh my goodness!
I wasn't here last week.
We might have to read some obscure article that
14,
no one gets.
Right?
That's 24.
24. Yes.
24. Constitutional quote of the week we're going to read is 24.
The right of citizens of the United States?
Yep.
Yes. Jeff?
I'll go ahead and read it.
Go ahead.
Amendment 24, which was passed in 1964. The right of the citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senator or representative in Congress shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay any poll tax or other tax. Section 2. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So this is Article 24, and it eliminates the poll tax. So you can't.
Which one did you read?
24 on page 32.
Yeah, you're you got the Spanish version?
No, it was the English
Well, this
one.
was the poll tax one.
Yeah.
That was very important because that was used to try to prevent people from voting.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Specifically in
Are we sure
in the South?
In the South.
Yeah, that's right. So this was
next week.
I wasn't here last week, so I don't
the
know.
poll taxes disenfranchise voters. And if you remember from the movie Selma a few
Yes.
years back,
Oh.
early on, they made a very critical point about why people were insisting on the vote is because that's where they're pulling people from jury pools.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were, blacks were facing all white juries and believing all kinds of nonsense. So there was not a lot of justice being done.
Well,
Thank you, Larry.
Having people vote increases the jury pool for the courts to operate more effectively.
okay.
Talking about that amendment, I want to congratulate Jennifer De La Jara. She'll be, she announced her,
Running for city council?
no,
School
for
board.
school board,
School board.
this past Saturday.
That's right.
Where?
Let's give at large,
At large.
Okay.
at large for North Carolina
Okay.
School Board,
So,
for Charlotte.
since our targeted audience is Latinx individuals
Yes.
between the ages of 12 and 45, English speaking,
12.
I think it is important that we highlight any Latinx candidate
Yes.
because we don't have any.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's fine.
we don't have seats at the table. And I appreciate the allies also as well. But so we have Jorge, who's running for City Council at large. We now have a young lady running for
Jennifer Lahara for school
and
board.
hopefully we will have a lot more who will decide to run, who actually are. And I really, we've always said this is that I appreciate the fact when they decide to run and we look at them and we say, that's good because many of them have been involved in the community. They've learned about the community and they decide to run. And that is that's the way you're supposed to run.
That's right.
Are we
You're
going
supposed to
to
be involved in the community.
announce Jorge's kickoff?
Yes,
Oh,
Jorge
yes,
kickoff. Actually, we can announce it next Wednesday, but Jorge kickoff is the 19th, which is next week.
Yes.
So next Thursday.
How do you pronounce his last name?
Millares.
It's on the 19th. That's next
The
Wednesday.
19th.
Today's what?
That's next Wednesday.
So remember that
Next Wednesday. That's
the
why I
double
thought we
L.
should announce it today.
So we're going to end our show because we
Yes,
have run
that's
under.
Wednesday,
yeah.
Our next show is going to be next Wednesday, June 19th, which is Juneteenth. For those who don't know what that is, we will educate you. Those of us who grew up in Texas are very familiar with Juneteenth because that was when many of the slaves finally found out about their freedom. It took a long time to get there because they wanted to make sure that another crop came in. So Maurice Falls is going to be one of our guests on the show, and please come back and let's learn and educate ourselves. There's also some other things he wants to talk about.
And if you're in Raleigh, please go at 2 o'clock today at the General Assembly and try to force and show your presence.
And also this Saturday in Raleigh, Halifax Mall, I will be there. Is going to be the End the Violence rally. That will be by the March for Our Life. Kay Lee was on our show 2 weeks ago, and the NAACP is also co-sponsoring that. So it's going to be and also on Saturday, all around the state and the country, there are need to impeach rallies. For those who believe that the president, that impeachment proceedings should start, you probably won't be at the rally. But those of us who, and understand, impeachment is a process.
Right.
So many people believe he should be impeached outright. Yeah, it should have started a long time ago. So it's continually pressuring Democrats on voting to at least start the process. Just like you and I, if we had committed so many crazy things in our job, we'd be under employee review. So we need to put, in my view, President Trump under employee review. But that's,
well, let me just say, the one Republican that has come out for impeaching the president or starting the process is being called the worst name in the book. He's being called a libertarian.
Oh my gosh!
Like a socialist Democrat.
It's a social disease. I got a social disease.
Bless your heart.
Just in a mush.
On that note, we want to let everyone know via Aaron, one of our followers. Thank you, Aaron, for following us. For those who don't know, now in the City Council in Charlotte, District 2, Justin Harlow is not running, so that is an open seat for people who want to run in that seat. District 4 is an open seat. Councilperson Phipps is not running, so there are people who are going to be running in that seat. Yep. And there's a very highly contested race who I think is going to be forming. Lawana Mayfield, who is running for at-large, her seat, District 3. So 2, 3, and 4 districts now will be open for people to file. So if you are interested in running in those seats, please get your supporters together. And I have been to some events of people
Larkin's still running District 1?
We'll find out. Plus, we have people that are running for at-large as well. So I think we're going to have a very exciting election race, and we need to be. I will be excited to hear what all of them have to say. I'm one who believes.
Oh my God!
Yeah, go ahead.
Tomorrow. Where is it going to be at? The Latin American Future Serve Civic Engagement
at the Latin American Coalition.
At the American Latin, because I'm not going to be here, but hey, if you can make it.
It's only a day away.
Only a day
I know, it's tomorrow.
So tell us where you're going to be while I go back behind the camera since we don't have a director.
Should I tell you where I'm going to be at?
Tell us where you're going to be.
Thank you for watching us.
Don't tell, just say you're going to be.
I'm just going to be on vacation.
There you go.
Till Sunday.
Okay.
That's great. I'm going to be attending some great theater this weekend. The musical Fun Home starts at ATC. There's Showboat at the Halton Theater, and I think a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum at the Matthews Playhouse. So good theater this weekend. Get out, entertain yourself, get out of your political mind, have a good time.
Woo. And I will be going back up to help some of my organizing friends up in Winston-Salem. And I'm also going to be at a couple of races this weekend because I'm going to learn about half marathons. So
get healthy, girl. Get more healthy.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
I will be on the lake.
Oh, good for you. In a boat?
On the boat.
Bye.